Welcome back, everyone, to the E3 podcast, part 2, day 1. It's a bit late, but it's also not late. We were going through the Sony conference first and do a podcast about that, but some issues came up with the co-host, so we have delayed that. But we're here to talk Nintendo now, and with me is Adam Owen.
Hello, everyone.
Emma Carlholm.
That would be me.
And I'm your host, Andrea Ritsu. So, now they've actually named the podcast, you can see on the name of the podcast, it's called E3 Simulator 2014. I didn't know that last episode, but I'm mentioning it now. So, Nintendo. My predictions for Nintendo ahead of time was major disappointment, reassurance that selling my Wii U was a good idea, and probably a new Mario platformer. And only about half of that was right. Only about a sixth of that was right. So, yeah. This was kind of good.
Really? I kind of went into it wondering, this is either going to be one of the weakest showings of the entire E3, which has been absolutely fantastic. So
I was absolutely certain it was going to be the weakest. There was no question in my mind that this would be a big bowl of disappointment.
I'm really not sure.
I think
half of it that sounds wonderful, and there are some great moments, but there's other bits that really turned me off from the whole thing.
There was one bit in the entire conference I didn't like. No, okay, two, but I won't count Bayonetta, because just I don't like Bayonetta, so, yeah. But the only thing that turned me off was the... Actually, no, I can't even say that, because the two things that turned me off were games that I'm just not into. I didn't mind them being there, because they had every right to be there, and that was Bayonetta 2, and Pokemon Omega whatever, and Alpha whatever. Because those games I'm not interested in. The rest of it I really liked. Then starting off with Smash Brothers was a great thing, and finally giving us Mii's in Smash Brothers was a really good concept that I've wanted since the Wii was announced. Basically, it was 8 years ago now, but yeah. And seeing of course them actually taking it to heart and having Reggie versus Iwata in the start was really, really cute, and I felt after that, you just kept on adding more awesome stuff. I don't know. I mean, what did you feel was disappointing in it?
Well, I wouldn't say Smash Brothers itself was disappointing. That looks like it's going to be great fun, and I can't wait to get that on a 3DS. I went into this conference, this Nintendo Direct, looking for a reason to buy a Wii U, and I've done that a few years, and I think I sort of decided this is the year I need to decide. Will this be the year that I just sort of think I need a Wii U now? I kind of feel like I set myself up for disappointment, though, because by the end of it, I sort of thought, well, I still have no idea. Because the big problem with the Wii U that I've found is that it's just first-party support. All of the games being shown at E3, about 90% of them aren't going to be Nintendo associated in any way.
That is true, but when you take that into consideration and the fact that Nintendo is showing off as many games as they were for the Wii U, and you compare, they basically were almost to the number of Microsoft showings of games, basically. If you add in the eShop reel they had, not during the conference, but they had it on their live stream. And the fact that they're doing that with pretty much only first party shows that I don't think Nintendo needs the third party support on the Wii U anymore, technically, because there's so much here that anyone can enjoy it. I feel.
I don't really feel like that need is the right word. I mean, or the right phrase. I kind of feel like they've had to make do without it.
Sure. I mean, I don't think they wouldn't mind more of it, sure, but I'm just saying when Nintendo is making an arena shooter and it looks like the most fresh idea at all of E3, I don't see what else I need.
Well, yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, I will say right here, the game that will probably be my demonstration of show this year is probably going to be Splatoon. Like, that game, I need everyone I know to buy a Wii U so I can play Splatoon with them. Like, I need that before 2015's release date. Like, you need to get a Wii U, both of you.
I would say it looked like Super Mario Sunshine meets esports, which I mean in the absolute best way possible.
Yes, it felt. That's the thing. Nintendo this year at E3 felt like the Nintendo of 2006 or the GameCube era Nintendo. The ones that were willing to just throw out ideas and not just stick to the same things. Because, like, the one thing that was the same thing as good on Nintendo was still not really the same thing as good on Nintendo. It would be Mario Maker, which is, it's another new Super Mario Bros. Game, but you make your own levels. So, okay, it's another new Super Mario Bros. Game, which turns me off, but at the same time, a make your own Mario game, I can get behind that. That could be really fun.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
all the other games, like Yoshi's not Yarn game.
Woolly World.
Woolly World, yeah, like when we saw that last E3, it looked fun, interesting, but I did not expect it to look this good when we finally got to see the full thing with the wool stuff and everything.
Well, I just sort of want my own little wool version of Yoshi.
Yeah, they need to bundle plushies with the pre-orders.
Oh,
They
yes,
need to do
please.
that.
I would pre-order for that,
Yeah.
definitely.
I would probably buy a bundle that included all, like, if they had multicolored Yoshi, so you can collect them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's basically like, sure, okay, it's derivative of Kirby's Epic Yarn. Of course it is. I mean, that's why we call it Yarn Yoshi until we got the name. But the thing is, the way the game wasn't Kirby's Epic Yarn with Yoshi in it, and it wasn't just a Yoshi game with a reskin. It looks like a brand new, fresh game. And I really appreciate that. That's what I've been wanting Nintendo to do forever. Since 06, basically. The last time Nintendo really wowed me.
I think my brother hit it on the head when we were halfway through watching that, and we just both thought at the same time, this sort of looks like a sequel to Yoshi's Story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
And that is pretty cool. I mean, I really like Yoshi's Story.
Yeah, I love Yoshi's Story.
And oh my god, the entire game is just so cute looking. Like, normally I don't care about graphics, but in this game I really, really, really care about the
I would
graphics.
say
Caring about art style. That's what it's about. Like, I don't care about graphics, but I do care about art style. This game has a beautiful art style.
Yeah, that's the way to put it, I think. Like, holy crap, I want to hug everything in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and in fact, like the way the levels like have like walls made out of wool, and you can just like toss your eggs through them and find secret areas and stuff. That was so cool.
Yeah.
I think I spent the entire trailer going, oh, look at the little Yoshi.
Pretty much.
Yarnishi.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I did like how my mind took like half a second before I realized what I was watching. Because they just cut to developers sitting in a room filled with yarn. I'm like, what are they doing? That's yarn. Oh, I get it.
I think the moment I saw the yarn, and I was like, you better be talking about Yarn Yoshi right now. And they're like, okay, so we made little Yoshis to sit on our shoulders. And I'm like, oh.
Oh, that was so good. And like, so that was one example of that. And then you had like they're announcing a new Kirby game, and it's Canvas cores, but it's not just Canvas cores; it's Canvas cores made in clay.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I love Canvas cores, and wow, another thing, like the art style just brought so much new to that, and I actually make fun with the clay physics, like the yarn games and the wool games I'm making with yarn and wool. That could be really interesting.
I mean, any company that can make a game look like an Aardman film.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. It looked. I mean, I don't know if both of you played Canvas Cores on DS.
Oh, yes.
I did a little bit.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It was one of the first DS games I played, and it was a launch game, I think. And it was just great. It was also called Power Paintbrush, I think.
That's what I thought it was called.
Yeah, it's also called Power Paintbrush. I don't remember which region had which name.
God, I love when they swap up the names.
Yeah.
And with Kirby, they'll make him angry in one and
yeah.
in another.
But yeah, that game was basically a tech demo but made into an actual game. At least
Yeah.
that's what it felt like to me. And that really works. And, you know, the moment I saw the sequel, because I consider this a sequel,
So absolutely.
I was just, whoa. I had almost forgotten about this game. Like, I haven't thought about that game for so many years. There, on E3. Holy shit, I want it. Like, that's a definitive purchase.
It is, and it was really cool to see that. And then you have stuff like they showed off what's the game called? I'm trying to hold off the big ones until later on. They showed off.
Let me look at my thoughts thing.
It's escaping my thoughts right now, but
I wrote down Bayonetta 2 includes the original Bayonetta, which is actually good for the system.
that's actually really good. But only the physical copy, not the digital release. Apparently, which is stupid.
Well, I'd still say it's 2 games.
Yeah,
in one.
that makes me wonder if they're going to release a digital version of one separately. Maybe.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sounds
And with costumes for characters, and you can summon Bowser if you use the Peach outfit.
Is that only for Bayonetta 2 or for 1, or is it only 1? Or how
think
does
I
it work?
don't know actually.
It might be a
Okay.
combination.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other game that was announced was Captain Toad.
Yes, that was one I was trying to remember. That looked really interesting. I saw the demonstration of it later, and it looked really fun. It's basically a little adventure game. And
It was one of those parts of Super Mario Galaxy that was always fun watching as the game progressed. All the little toads forming their own little spaceship and sort of following you on the adventure.
Yeah.
I felt more like Super Mario Brothers 2.
Well, I think this is going to be the first proper game dedicated to Toad.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember anyone before this.
And Toad can't jump because his backpack is too heavy. That's the actual
Plus, he has a
explanation.
giant mushroom on his head. I mean, that's
The actual explanation that they said it on the demonstration.
it's sort of. It looks. I mean, I don't mean this in a nasty way or a sarcastic way, but it looks like an iPad game.
It does. When I first saw it, I figured, well, this is going to be a nice eShop title. And it turns out it's a retail game, which I shouldn't be surprised because it's Nintendo. They're probably going to put like 1 billion fucking levels in there. But yeah. It reminded me a bit of I mean, not gameplay-wise, but the way, like, sort of, it worked with perspective and stuff. It reminded me a bit of Echo Chrome on the PSP.
Yeah, I remember Echo Chrome. That was really good.
That was really good, yeah. So
Yeah, I definitely didn't see that coming. I mean, not only how the game played, what the game was, the theme, you know, the protagonist of the game, and an isometric game from Nintendo? Has that happened before? I don't think so. There were so many firsts there.
I'm actually trying to think of an isometric Nintendo game now. There's gotta be one. Does the Mario RPG games count?
I guess it would count, even though it's Squaresoft, but...
Well, I mean, Mario and Luigi are also isometric.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And
you know, it's totally okay that Toad can't jump either, because Super Mario Brothers 2, Toad's jump in that game is absolutely rubbish.
Yeah.
And
Speaking of that... No, go ahead.
Sorry, but I was just going to say, if the game's designed not to have him jump, then the puzzles will be formed around that, and he won't need to jump at all.
Yeah.
My main issue, going back to Mario Maker real quick, the new Super Mario Brothers and 8-bit Mario Make Your Own Level stuff, is I want, maybe it will be confirmed as well, I want the Doki Doki Panic or Mario Brothers 2 mode. Because that's one of my favorite Mario games, and I would love to make levels for that kind of game instead.
Oh, definitely.
But
The other big news was Amiibo.
Amiibo, yes.
That's Skylanders.
Why the fuck are they not called Amigo?
I mean, probably a copyright thing, but Nintendo Amigos would sound good, but
It was the first thing I thought of. But Amiibo, which at first I wasn't that hooked on them until they started demonstrating more details on them after the conference. Because you can basically, at least in Smash Bros., you basically will be able to use them as a collectible card game almost. Like you will have not a collectible card, but like you have your character. Like let's say you have Donkey Kong or whatever, and every time it fights, it basically levels up with the AI learning more tricks and stuff, and then you can send it out and do battles against other players and stuff. So you're basically training your own little Pokemon, sort of, and you just send it out to fight against other people. It's really cool.
And you're going to get games like Mario Kart 8. I think it's going to use it.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's going to have a bunch of ghost data in it and stuff.
Yeah, and Mario Party 10, which was also confirmed, but no one really cares because it's Mario Party.
Feels like it's like a Street Pass feature only for the Wii U.
Yeah, and it's coming to 3DS as well. An attachment will be releasing in next year for the 3DS. But you mentioned something there for a second, and I forgot about it.
But yeah, can I talk about the 3DS a little bit? Because that was one of the parts I was disappointed about.
Go ahead.
I kind of felt like they forgot about the 3DS outside of Pokemon and Smash Bros. And kind of figured what that would do.
Well, yeah, definitely.
After all of the momentum that they finally built up for the 3DS after a very slow start, but the games came out.
Sure, it was weird to not see them on the conference, apart from Smash Bros. And Pokemon. But I mean, afterwards they announced stuff like Leighton Ace Turn is now coming to the US. Fantasy Life finally coming out here.
The first measures come from the Nintendo Direct itself, which seemed to pretty much gloss over a lot of 3DS stuff outside of the obvious Pokemon.
Yeah, I think it's basically. I mean, the Direct was only about 35 minutes, which is how Nintendo likes to do it now. They want to keep it short and they just toss the rest out to long gameplay demonstrations on the floor, which is not a bad idea, but I sort of feel they haven't really made it work yet. But maybe if they keep on doing it, it'll get better. But the problem with that is that I think they pretty much have to focus everything on the Wii U because they need to save the Wii U. So there was no time for 3DS game apart from the ones that they had to mention, like Pokemon and Smash Bros.
What they showed was good, but I get the feeling that it's a bit too late.
That's what I said too.
They needed to have this press conference about 2 years ago.
I would say 1 year ago, but that's sort of what I said because 1 year ago was when I sold my Wii U because I was I was disappointed in the E3 and felt there's nothing for me here, and not until today have I sort of regretted that. So I think I made the right decision. But the thing is, I forgot what my exact comment for. Okay, yeah. So I said it on Twitter, like this conference is great and it makes me want to get a Wii U again, and I'm probably getting a Wii U again. But it doesn't really matter until we see the sales. Like they can do as great a conference as they want, and they did a great conference. But if it doesn't translate to sales, it will all be for nothing in the end. And I do wonder how much the Wii U will be increasing over the following months. I wonder how much Hyrule Warriors will affect it. I wonder how much smaller games affect it. I'm guessing though, as soon as we get the big games, I'm pretty sure that the Zelda releasing next year, we'll at least have it reach like GameCube levels and have it not be too awful because I can't see this really great conference not having at least some sort of effect on the console sales in the end.
It must have. I'm seeing so many people all around the internet going, I'm picking up a Wii U now.
Yeah, and I just want to mention, I have now seen Majora's Mask's Moon in Hyrule Warriors, and it's scary. Oh, wow, it's scary.
What? I'm just not sure. I mean, I think the problem is that, yes, this was a good E3 for Nintendo. This was a very good show, but everyone else had really brilliant shows. EA included.
I felt that Nintendo... I think that as a company, Nintendo pretty much won E3 here, but I don't think they had as strong of a conference as Sony had. And what I mean by that is basically...
I'll say one thing. I mean, the one thing that I can definitely say I really did not like was the Robot Chicken introductions.
Oh, yeah, I could have done without that.
The audience of people who want Mother 3 to be released outside of Japan is very small. That's not a big market. That's a niche audience. Why would they pick on them?
Yeah, it's sort of like announcing Conquer as a DLC thing for Project Spark. Oh,
I kind of
right.
consider it as, okay, so I get it. Nintendo, for whatever reason, doesn't want to release the greatest game they have ever made outside of Japan. Whatever, they can do what they want. Some people wanted to play the crowning achievement of Nintendo, so they translated it themselves. Why would they be so passive aggressive about it? Or why would Robot Chicken write something like that and Nintendo say, yeah, that's fine?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Robot Chicken wrote it, and Nintendo are basically at the point where they probably said, write whatever you want, we need help.
And then
I can totally see that happening, actually.
And I can imagine Robot Chicken also wrote the Star Fox thing, which pissed off a few of my friends as well, because they're like, well, we want these games. And
well, Star Fox has been announced for Wii U.
Sort of. I mean, that's one of the other things. Miyamoto, although it's nice to see him at these sort of press conferences, especially if he's doing these sort of solo projects, you're 3 years too late to be showing off tech demos.
Yeah.
We should have been convinced about the Wii U gamepad 3 years ago if you're going to bring these out. Is the
that's true.
That's like trying to convince us around the release of, I don't know, about 4 years or 3 years after the PS3 was launched that 6-axis is the future.
Yeah, that would be awkward.
Or, Microsoft trying to...
Hey guys, have you heard of this gamepad? And we're like, yes, we have. No one wants to use it because it's such...
Yeah, it's...
It makes multi-platform releases kind of... Well, none of them are going to be that unique.
Sure. I do agree there, but... I'm saying we are getting a new Star Fox, so at least that's happening.
I feel like we're getting a Star Fox in some form, but we haven't really seen how it's all going to add up to a finished project. It came across a bit like, well, it wasn't as bad as when EA were just like, here are some games that are in development because we're not ready yet, but it had that sort of aura about it.
I get what you're saying, but I will bring it up to basically be like, remember how last year they basically said, next E3 you'll see the new Zelda? I sort of felt like they were doing that with Star Fox here, and for some reason just decided to show a tech demo while doing it, because they've said that they will be showing off Star Fox next year, so... Yeah, I think, and this is sort of the same thing I had with EA's, thing we're going to EA's unfinished games they were showing. I get why they were doing it, because otherwise people will just constantly yell at them, where are these games? But I wonder if it's just more harmful in the end, because when people see them, they get pissed off. That's what I'm seeing online, at least.
With Star Fox, I don't think it helped that they did, God, why are you complaining about Star Fox, guy?
Yeah.
And it also doesn't help that it was in that particular style, the Robot Chicken style, where they have one voice for a nerd character.
Yeah.
That always sounds whiny and always sounds entitled, because that's usually part of a joke with Robot Chicken. So when I hear, when are you going to release Marvel 3? And you just get Reggie rolling his eyes, and I'm just like, oh, sorry, I like your games, Nintendo. I guess I won't if you don't want me.
Yeah, that was the first. That's literally when I hit play on the YouTube live stream. That it was immediately at the Mother 3 moment, and I thought, oh, okay, so good. This will be a big pile of trash.
That's the worst place to start off with. But what? But yeah, I mean, with conference-wise, it was very hit and miss. I mean, the direct style worked in terms of what Nintendo were doing. They managed to make it work for them.
I think they should have gone longer. I think that's really the main issue.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was really salivating for more. I would not have complained if it was longer.
And I mean, and they technically are, because they're doing like hours and hours of Nintendo Treehouse, and it's kind of fun to watch. So they are still going on with it, but still, the majority of people will just be watching the presentation. And
even out of reading about how Star Fox was leaked early.
Oh yeah, that was. Thanks you. Thanks times.
To be fair, it didn't end up being that big a reveal.
It really wasn't. If anything, I thought Miyamoto's other two games were more interesting. His Night Trap remake.
And this is a completely new genre, and everyone else in the world is like, it's a tower defense game. And a completely new genre is a tower defense game, Miyamoto. We have. Come on,
It's Night Trap
you've
with
had
tower
to have
defense.
seen a Wii U in development. You've seen an iPad before. Oh.
Yeah, no, that game I thought was fun. Yeah, it's basically like Night Trap with tower defense. Yeah, and then there was the Kaiju, no, not Kaiju, the giant mecha fighting game, in which Miyamoto stated that Nintendo knows that the girls like robots just possibly more than boys.
Speaking of giant mechas, the one game that I saw there that made
Hyrule
me think
Warriors.
I really need this fucking console if I want to play this. I want to play Xenoblade Chronicles X.
I hate that name. Yes, I agree.
It's-
Xenoblade Chronicles X looks amazing. I love Xenoblade.
That was
One of my favorite Wii games, and this just looks.
This is very good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, it blew my mind. Like, wow.
What?
And they're basically connecting it to the previous Xeno games, even though they don't have the rights to them. So they're just talking about, oh, this is a very, very long series of games. They're like, no, it's not. It's one game prior.
I've had one game before this. This is not Final Fantasy yet. Slow down. Take a breather. But yeah, I mean, does it really count as an appearance or a demonstration because we've already had a demonstration of the gameplay?
I mean, it still counts as demonstration.
Yep. Okay, that's one of the games that I'll be picking for Game of the Year.
Yeah, they were demonstrating it
Yeah.
like 30 minutes ago as we were recording this, and showing off like the big customizable characters and a bunch of cool stuff. It looks really neat, and apparently the world is larger than the one in Xenoblade, which I thought was impossible. So,
Yeah, that's one of the things about Xenoblade that I liked. I mean, it did look very rough.
Yeah, it did.
As a Wii game, that sort of comes with the territory, but I prefer having Xenoblade be as open as it was. That's another thing that'll be interesting about Zelda, the way they're saying it's going to be more open-worldy. Is that what it was?
Yes, that's totally what they basically said. So, since everyone else is copying Skyrim,
Hey, it's like Zelda 1 all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to bring Skyrim into this. Let's not do that. We can just say it's like Zelda 1.
I was that was another point where I was all like, oh, what do you mean you don't like the linear Zeldas? I like linear 3D Zeldas.
No, fuck you. Listen here.
Hey.
That was the best thing at the entire conference. Because I hated Skyward Sword. That was just levels.
Oh, don't.
That game was
when they say
garbage.
linear Zeldas, I don't mean Skyward Sword. I mean, who likes Skyward Sword?
Most people, it's deemed like one of the best games ever made.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
I bet I can find a person on the street right now and say, did you like Skyward Sword? And if he didn't punch me or was completely confused, he would say, why, yes, good sir, Skyward Sword was a load of shit.
No, that's why it goes... Do you remember how Jonathan Holmes of Destructor.com got shit because he gave it 9.5 and not a 10?
Did he? Was it because they were confused why he liked it?
He said he knocked off 0.5 points because the lack of control options, even though he felt the controls were fine the way they were, and people got pissed off.
Either way, when I say
that game was perfect, you're wrong.
Well, either way, when I say linear Zelda games, I don't mean Skyward Sword. I mean Wind Waker. I mean the Nintendo 64 Zelda games.
That was the thing, though. I mean, they basically directly linked it to Wind Waker because that's what they said. Like, hey, when we made Wind Waker, we managed to make a really open and interesting world by doing all this sort of stuff. We still had to segregate all the dungeons into small locations. Now we don't have to do them. Basically, all he said was, it's now one massive world everything is placed in. You don't have to go to spot A to go into a dungeon, stuff like that.
Right. It'll be interesting to see more details from it when that eventually happens, because The art style looked fantastic, and it does look beautiful.
And potential genderless Link, which is really cool. And
I'm not gonna get my hopes up on that. I'm not gonna hold it against him if Link is male again. I don't think that's something that's right to hold against any developer if a character is a certain gender. But I would think that a female Link would be a great addition.
I want
yes.
I want the genderless Link. Because that's what I'm like. To me, when I watched the trailer, my first thought was that a female Link? And I rewatched it, I was like, it might be a female Link. And I looked at a screenshot, no, maybe it's not. And I can't decide. I never figured it out. Wait, they don't need to specify gender. It's not like it comes up that often in Zelda dialogue anyway. It would be really cool if you just made Link genderless.
I think the only time when it's been extremely... the most it's ever been clear about the gender is Skyward Sword, where they made a very clear romantic...
Yeah, and Ocarina of Time, Boy Without a Fairy.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, yeah, there was that mod that a father made for his daughter for Wind Waker that pretty much just changed every single gender-specific description.
Brother to sister, yeah.
One. And, yeah, I'm just saying, I think it would be one of the best things possible ever. It would be a huge step forward in how we view these sort of games. I wouldn't be upset though if it wasn't the case.
Honestly though, the thing is, I didn't think we would get a female genderless Link, and I'm still waiting for confirmation until I get my hopes up too much. But honestly, I thought we would get that before we would get a Link that doesn't wear green and doesn't use a sword. Because this is a bow and arrow based Link who wears blue and a slightly green cape that he or she tossed off in the trailer to reveal themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
That is
about the game,
awesome.
so eventually there may be a bit where it's like, well, we're using a sword a lot.
Maybe, but I don't know. To me, it really felt like they were like with the way they really hyped up the bow and arrow mechanic and like the glowing magic arrows and stuff. I don't know. It looks cool, and there was also the another cool thing about the trailer was Link had a ponytail.
Ooh.
Link has a ponytail.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, well, I've seen the trailer a few times. Specifically, a point where Link has a ponytail.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2015, where next E3 will be gameplay demos and such. At least they're not doing that like with Skyward Sword, where we spent ages waiting to find out about the game, and then we saw, oh, it's Skyward Sword. Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping we would get. That's the thing. It seems that Miyamoto is no longer even touching the game, though. Like, this seems to be Aonoma's product entirely.
Yeah.
Which I am very happy about, because that means it might be closer to Majora's Mask in terms of gameplay depth, or whatever.
Well,
Gameplay
yeah,
depth.
I don't know what has Miyamoto even done anything good for Zelda in like, I don't know, years.
Well, there was that time he put a Zelda track in Wii Music. Does that count?
I don't think so.
Yes, no.
Even if it did, it would be terrible. We all lose in that case.
Hyrule Warriors has so far 4 playable characters, of which 3 are female and 2 are women of color. That's awesome.
That's very awesome.
And I'm totally maining Zelda, so I'm picking the white. Don't judge me.
I would totally main Midna, because Midna's the best character.
I want to pick Midna, but then I saw Zelda and her fight style and her outfit, and no, sorry, I'm going Zelda.
So
and how it's like everyone's going Impa.
I assume the story, like there's a main story mode that has Zelda getting kidnapped, but I assume eventually she will be freed and then joins the fight.
Yeah.
Because that was the big point of contention at first, I think, that it's, even in the spin-off series, Zelda can't catch a break.
Yeah, and honestly, that game, because of playable badass Zelda with a sword, which I've wanted since the Twilight Princess concept art, is the reason that in September I need to have a Wii U. That's the date I'm setting for myself. Hyrule Warriors release day, that's my Wii U date.
It's also good that it serves as a stopgap for this Zelda. As
Yes,
in,
it does.
we can have this new Zelda game while we're waiting for.
And it looks really fun.
It does.
It's
I've been playing
really fun.
Dynasty Warriors a little bit on the Vita, and yeah, that's a fun game to play in bits. I assume the Zelda one's going to be even better because I know who everyone is.
Yeah, and the fact that they basically just... I like how like they apparently started off very carefully, and Aonumi just kept saying, no, make what you want. No, do what you want.
Yeah.
No, do what you want. Come on, go ahead.
That's another thing I'm hoping for, where eventually we'll find out just how many characters you can play as.
Yeah, I'm hoping at least in the 30s of characters.
Are there
also
even
wouldn't-
that many characters in Zelda?
Yes, but
Yeah.
that's the thing about Dynasty. It was described by Jim Sterling, I think, the world expert on Dynasty Warriors, how in that game, based on Chinese history, Romance of the 12th, 13th, I don't know what.
Three Kingdoms.
Three Kingdoms. Most of the people in those books never saw a battlefield in their lives.
Yeah.
And most of them weren't even. They're usually hundreds and hundreds of years apart in time, but they're all fighting in one place with ginormous weapons that they would never have even heard of.
There's in Samurai Warriors, the Japanese one, and not Chinese one. There's a character who fights with JoJo's.
Ha!
You can have anyone you want, and she's a historical figure. She fights with JoJo's and takes out armies with them.
Yeah, I mean, also they would also include wives of these generals who would never normally see war, just because
Wives, mistresses, children, everyone is in the Warriors games. So basically, in Hyrule, you can have what's the Goron guy from Ocarina of Time, the big Goron guy?
Like,
Daruma or something?
Daruma.
Any of the six sages would be a bit obvious.
Yeah.
Even the old guy who just stood there and said, "Hey, here's a thing, go get more."
You know what?
Actually the hour.
No, I want the old man from Zelda 1. I want Error from Zelda 2.
Oh my god. Imagine his win post, he's like, I am Error.
Oh, why isn't he the most cosplayed character from Zelda?
I don't know.
He should be.
I mean, this is the chance for Zelda to have its own fan service game. I want Beedle making his own little store for everyone to go in. I want all of the pirates in Tetris Crew to be playable characters.
Yeah, but yeah, this was really good, and I'm excited for two Zelda games at the same time. I haven't been excited for a Zelda game since Twilight Princess, and I can't wait to play both of them. I'm actually going back to the new Zelda for a bit. I do love how that really just shows how good art style can help a game, because that was apparently all in-engine in the game on the Wii U.
Yeah.
And it looked kind of on par with some of the PS4 and Xbox One games showed.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. So that is really neat. Have we missed any Nintendo game?
Well, I wanted to mention something about Hyrule Warriors.
Okay.
That I think it's amazing how we're seeing a Zelda game being treated like it's not holy. You know, Zelda has always been very special. Like, okay, we had those Spirit Tracks remake, offshoots. But aside from that, it always felt like that series has been very holy. You can't just do anything with it. It's very special. And now all of a sudden we get Hyrule Warriors. It's very out there. It's very unique and different. And I think that's a great thing for the series, that, hey, now we're actually getting to experiment with a formula. Like, not just with the formula. We can do anything with this franchise. I think that's really great for the future of Zelda.
I think it also raises the idea of just what else could be done with Nintendo franchises. Because, I mean, there have been several instances of third-party developers taking a Nintendo franchise and trying to make something out of it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's been successful, with something like F-Zero GX, which was done by Sega.
Yep.
And was made to be more arcadey, and I think that's exactly what F-Zero needed.
Or just Metroid Prime originally, when Retro Studios was not a part of Nintendo.
I mean, Metroid Other M wasn't quite as successful, but
It was sort of the murdering stomp to the Metroid series. So, I wouldn't call it successful.
Oh yeah, sort of talking about. Did we mention Devil's Third?
No, I was about to mention that actually. Devil's Third, the new game from what is his name actually? Dead or Alive guy.
I just sort of see him
Itagaki, yeah. It's Wii U exclusive.
I mean, I only really know him as the guy who, when he left Team Ninja, Dead or Alive got a lot less pervy, and I don't see that as a coincidence.
And Dead or Alive 5 actually is one of the best fighting games they've ever made, so yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, and this is the guy who pretty much got in trouble with almost every female co-worker for sexual harassment. Like, wow, this guy has so many harassment files on him.
You got so Swedish in your accent there for a bit.
Oh, sorry.
But actually, going back to Zelda not being too holy, that actually goes back to the upcoming Zelda game as well. With like I said, if this truly is a Zelda game where, I mean, I'm not saying that there won't be a sword in there, but sword not being the main weapon,
Yeah.
that's like probably the biggest departure ever. And the bow and arrow, it transformed. It was mechanical and it transformed. This might be the closest we get to a steampunk Zelda people want.
I mean, when I think of a steampunk Zelda, I sort of think of like Epona being a name given to a motorbike, but I'll take it.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, so I was very impressed by Nintendo, and for the first time in a long time, I can say that I am not upset with them, which I've been wanting to say that for years now.
Yeah.
I would say that although there were parts of it that are all right, I'm at the very least not going to be as definitive as I thought I was going to be in saying, yeah, I'm probably not going to get a Wii U. There was stuff there that I was impressed by, but I'll probably still be waiting for that moment when it just clicks, when it just seems like there's a future to the Wii U beyond everything that Nintendo does. Because, I mean, recently I kind of felt like Nintendo isn't really doing it. They're not really doing it for me. I'm finding new, more exciting ways of playing games from a large variety of developers, whether it's independent or AAA. And I'm not entirely certain. I mean, it's always been great to have Nintendo not be defined by either of them, but it's getting trickier to see where Nintendo sort of fits in the industry right now and whether or not that's a good thing.
I can see that. And what the thing for me, though, is the thing that people always compare the Wii U to the GameCube, and I don't like that. Because the GameCube and the Wii U have been very different things. But this sort of had me hoping that the Wii U can become the next GameCube. In it being a console that I absolutely love, that had imaginative and awesome games on it, but not too many of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing there are several things that separate it from GameCube at the moment, and that's GameCube is often considered as like one of Nintendo's examples of no third-party support, but there was a lot of stuff on that console that was third-party and wonderful, whether it was Ubisoft really giving everything they had at the time with Prince of Persia and Beyond Good and Evil and all of that. There were plenty of stuff from EA, Activision, etc.
Well, Activision is still putting out stuff for Wii U, so unlike Ubisoft.
Did they announce Advanced Warfighter on Wii U?
I think it was leaked, but it hasn't been announced yet.
I think they're the last remaining Western publisher to... Are there any other Western publishers at all?
No.
Sort of think that's another part of it that I'm not entirely sure of, because...
Okay, I don't know. The only thing I know about Nintendo is that they had a game in which a squid girl jumped into paint and shot things. And that's the game that won me over to say, okay, I will definitely buy a Wii U, and so will you.
Yeah, I mean, all the different ways I can describe a game, whether it's Squid Girl, the game, Super Mario Sunshine, cross Team Fortress 2. I mean, I came out with a couple, but
I think Squid Fortress will do.
Squid Fortress.
Can we get them to just rename it Squid Fortress?
I think we should. But no, that game was such a joy to watch, and every time I look at it, it looks more fun. And I really, Nintendo, you're making an arena shooter. You really like that's the best way to win me over.
I think the game is very
shooter that isn't shooty people.
Oh, you can shoot people. You get points for it. And then there are
I
different game
thought
modes.
it was just making a mess.
No. There are different modes. Okay, I'm gonna teach you about Splatoon now because I watched a lot of Splatoon.
She's going to teach you the ways of
the
Splatoon.
the main gameplay that we got shown was Turf War, in which yes, the point is to cover as much in your own paint, but you also get points by splatting other players, and you can also use splat balloons to cover down paint stuff. So basically, it becomes a shooter in which you sort of like a control point game, but instead of having specific points, the entire map is the point. So you do get points for killing the other player, and they respawn in their base, but you also get points for taking over as much as possible of the map. But there will also be different game modes. This is only Turf War, so I'm guessing there's going to be a standard deathmatch mode as well, because covering ink everywhere is not just useful to get points, it's how you move around the level. Like you will need to do it on every game mode, because of course in your own paint you can go fast and you can swim in paint. In other people's paint you go slow. You can go up walls in paint. There are certain areas in which you can't paint, so you have to like figure out different ways. You can dive into the paint, charge up and fly up into the air and then skydive. Ah, I want this game.
See, you sounded exactly like when you were trying to teach me how to do Doom and Quake and stuff. This game has been announced about 4 hours ago. 5.
Okay. Speaking of Doom, Doom was announced a few hours ago too.
Just a quick aside then.
Yeah, this is actually related. I first played Doom when I was 4 years old. I made a vlog about this, and I was really fangirly about it on YouTube. I have been playing first-person shooters since '95. I got into arena shooters as soon as I got Quake 3. And I started playing Unreal Tournament. And all the other Quakes and all the stuff. Like I've been doing this forever. It used to be my bread and butter. With even though I'm not good at the games themselves, playing online arena shooters sort of became the one thing I really loved doing. Even if I was losing, because it was so much joyous fun. Because it was fast paced and it was shooting things, and you don't really get that these days. I still like games like Call of Duty online, but it's not a fast paced chaos, flying everywhere, having fun in a shooting environment game. This game is that. This game is a classic arena shooter, but it's also kid friendly. This is the kind of game that I will be able to play with people who I would like play Clan Wars in fucking Quake 3 with. I could also bring to like a friend, and we can invite their little sister and little brother to play with us, for example, because it's just such a cool game. It's the best of both worlds. Of course, I'm excited.
I will be looking out for it. I mean, the more info I find, the more I may be convinced to join you.
Yeah, it's so cool. You can turn into a squid.
I mean, if that ends up being the big thing that comes out of E3, I think Nintendo would have learnt a big lesson about, well, maybe people do want new IPs.
Well, yeah, that's actually the biggest surprise. It was a brand new IP that they showed off, and it was so fucking cool. They're going to be showing a brand new game for 3DS later today as well. It might be right now when we're recording. I don't know. I'm not looking at the stream.
A bastard. Just spent ages telling them how I wanted more 3DS games, and they were poopy heads for not doing that.
They're going to announce a brand new 3DS game. It has not been shown or mentioned before. I have no idea what it's going to be. I'm hoping it's Advance Wars, but we'll see.
Well, that way we can convince Maddie Shoestring to buy a 3DS.
Yes, we can. But we are running out of time. You need to go to bed, and I need to edit the podcast. So, Adam Owen, what's your Twitter?
Adam Owen FTW.
Emma?
Kid_N7, that is KIDD_N and the number 7.
You can find me at Andrea_Ritsu. And this has been the second E3 podcast about Nintendo. There will be one about Sony, hopefully during the day tomorrow, before we start doing the average everything podcast. We're talking about Doom for hours. And it's been fun. And I'm sorry it's a bit late. I'm sorry it had some technical issues. I hope I solved them and everything.
I'm still in the cause of most of them.
Yeah. But yeah, we will see you next episode, and bye.
Bye.